So, role of respiratory physiotherapy in COVID. So, if you come to see that in acute care setting, what is the role of physiotherapy? So, COVID acute setting, and the main aim is to first protect yourself, that you can, so that you can protect all the patient of yours. So, even the armor of Karna could not be penetrated by Lord Krishna. So, you should have also an armor which should protect you at all times. Hello everyone. Hopefully now you can see my screen. So sorry that I could not show the screen earlier on. So hopefully it is. So hopefully you can see the screen now. And so I was speaking about that in COVID acute care seconds, the most important part of you it is to basically protect yourself. And you can see that this is the uh, armor of Karna, which was not able to be penetrated by Lord Krishna himself. So we also need uh, this shield that can protect ourselves in the ICU. And speaking about the shield, the government of India has given a guideline for the shield, that is we call the PPE kit. And what is to be there in the shield is basically you should have a head cover on the shield, which basically it should cover your hair, and then you should have a first layer of covering of the eyes, that is the goggles. Then you should have a face shield to protect your mucous membranes. Then you should have a mask, and I will speak in detail about the mask, what kind of mask you should be using in the this ICU. Then you should be using the gloves, and for the gloves you should be using the nitrile gloves and not the normal latex gloves. Then gown, the special the gown is to be made of a special material that is given in the government of India site for the health for the site of health and family welfare site. So you should know what is to be worn in the ICU, so that you can protect yourself. Then also the shoe covers. So coming to the mask, what kind of mask you should wear? So the surgical mask or a three-layered mask, it should be worn only basically when you are thinking that someone might be infected, or a person who thinks that he might be potentially infected should wear this mask. Then comes our 80% filtration mask or the N80 mask. These are to be worn only for protection against some of the pollutant matters, and not against the virus. So it will not work against your COVID virus. And then the N95 mask. So N95 mask must be worn by all the healthcare workers while they are treating patients who are potentially COVID or COVID. And if you are doing any of the aerosol generating procedures in the ICU, like if you are doing a suction, or if you are doing any kinds of bronchoscopy procedure, or intubating the procedure patient in the ICU, then you should be wearing a N98 mask that has been recommended. So type of respiratory failure in COVID. So if you speak what is the type of respiratory failure in COVID, the type of respiratory failure in COVID-19 patient is the type 1 failure. So type 1 failure, what happens is basically there is lack of oxygenation, your PaO2 levels go down, your oxygenation levels go down, and your carbon dioxide levels or the pH may remain normal. So the main important feature of the COVID 19 and the type of respiratory failure is the type 1 failure that we have. So if you see the main problem, what it does is basically it acts what it does is it acts in the type 1 type cells, which is the surfactant producing cells in the lungs. So there are two types of main cells available in the lungs. One is the cells which produce the surfactant, which helps to keep the alveolus open at all the times. And then there is the second type of cells wherein the carbon dioxide exchange. The carbon dioxide is basically given out from the blood and the oxygen is taken into the blood. So what it happens is, firstly it affects the surfactant producing cells. So what happens, your lungs or the alveoli start collapsing. And then secondly what happens is, basically it also starts acting on the type 2 cells, or cells wherein the exchange of gases happen. So what is happening is, ultimately it causes a problem in the gaseous exchange, and then it causes a pneumonia, which is basically classical to type 1 type of respiratory failure. So this is what is being called moderate COVID and severe COVID. So any patient who is basically showing clinical features of dyspnea or fever or sore throat, you all know about the clinical features. And if the saturation levels are going less than 94%, so and the respiratory rate is basically going above 24 in adult patients, he is called to be a moderate type of COVID patient. And severe patients are the patients who will be admitted to your ICU for the care, and there they will be showing clinical features, plus they will be showing signs of high respiratory rate or increased work of breathing, and their saturation will be less than 90% of 90% with the saturation levels. So oxygen therapy and COVID. So if you speak of oxygen therapy and COVID, when to give, so one of the major treatment for COVID patient is your oxygen therapy. When to give oxygen therapy? So this is our oxygen dissociation curve. You must have already remembered this oxygen dissociation curve from your earlier days of physiology. So what happens is, you can see this is a direct correlation between the SpO2 that comes in the finger and the PaO2 that is on the y-axis, and the SpO2 that is on the x-axis. What happens is, when the saturation is above 90, there is a good number, the PaO2 level is maintained above 55 or 60 at all times. That means you are safe. So when it goes below 90, you can see there is a, when you goes below 90, there is a steep decrease in the PaO2 levels of the body. And when the PaO2 levels of the body go steeply down, what happens is, basically you will see a lot of the things, basically the changes at the hypoxemic changes in the body, and ultimately hypoxic injury can happen to the body, causing multi-system failures. So if you can see the correlation between SpO2 and the PO2 levels of the body, so you can see that with 85 saturation, the PaO2 levels is around 50. That is basically nearly no oxygen at the blood. So it is very dangerous to have this saturation levels, and so the oxygen level of the patient is to be maintained for all the time. This is one of the most critical factors for the COVID-19 patients to be done. So oxygen therapy remains a mainstay. So how do you do oxygen therapy in COVID-19? So COVID-19 oxygen therapy, the main aim is to maintain a saturation of above 92% at all times. So how do you maintain this 92% saturation at all times is, basically you use an oxygen delivery device. Now to use an oxygen delivery device, so what you can do is, you can use a nasal prong, but in COVID-19 a nasal prong is basically contraindicated or is not to be used. Why? Because the saturation, if the saturation is below 90 and you are using the oxygen cannula or the oxygen nasal prong, what they will do is, it will produce a lot of aerosols, and because of this aerosols, what will happen is, there may be cross infection or the spread of the virus. So you should not be using a nasal prong. If there is an emergency or there is nothing else that you can use, make sure that if the patient is using a nasal prong, he should wear a N95 mask above the nasal prong at all time, and that also the N95 mask should be without valve. So the choice of device for oxygen delivery is the face mask. So up to 6 liters of oxygen we can easily give the face mask to the patient, and if it is going above 6 lakhs, we can also basically give the Venturi mask. So Venturi mask can be given to the patient. So This is Venturi mask. You can see there are different percentages. There are different percentages. So there are different percentages that you can see. Sorry for the interruption, everyone. So sorry for the interruption, there was some technical glitch. So I was speaking about the Venturi mask, that the Venturi mask is available in different basically percentages of oxygen. So the Venturi mask is available from your 24% of oxygen till 60% of oxygen. So 40% is basically when you give 10 liters of oxygen, and 60% is basically when you give 15 liters of oxygen. So this, your COVID patients in the ICU, the moderate and the severe patients, are in a large demand for the oxygen, and they will require a lot of oxygen supply. And what happens is basically they will require a large amount of oxygen, and this Venturi mask can be given. Also, the if the Venturi mask is unsuccessful, you can go for a rebreathing mask that gives us around 100% FiO2 with around 18 liters of oxygen. And also there is something that is coming out to be very successful in COVID-19 patient, is the high flow oxygen therapy. So in the high flow oxygen therapy, what happens is you can be given oxygen with very high flow, and that flow can be up to 60 liters. You can see that can be up to 60 liters of oxygen. So this is a special device that been used in COVID patients in the ICU, and the outcomes have been very good. The only limitation of this is basically it is used by something like a nasal cannula. So whenever the high flow oxygen is used with a nasal cannula kind of delivery device, the patient should be using a non-valved N95 mask. So oxygen support, the oxygen support, the target oxygen is basically 92 to 96%. That is what we have discussed earlier. And the device for administering oxygen is nasal prongs mask, or mask with rebreathing mask, or the high flow nasal cannula therapy. And as I told, if it is using a patient is using a nasal device to use oxygen, then he should use a mask. So coming to the next, positioning in COVID patient is very important, and has been basically shown a lot of success even in moderate patients and in also severe patients. So speaking of positioning, there are two positioning type of positioning that we do. One is basically for the moderate patient, where we do the awake positioning, and awake prone positioning has shown a lot of basically benefit to the patient. And you can be doing this to the patients who are in the isolation wards or in the COVID wards, who are not in the ICU, and it will give very good results. And what happens is basically when you are supine, your dorsal alveoli are collapsed because the gravity is acting upon it. So what happens is, if you make the patient prone, your dorsal alveoli are basically not collapsed, or the gravity is not acting into it, so that they get a opportunity of opening up. So this is very useful. That's why we do the prone positioning in patient. The government of India also guidelines for the management of COVID says that the patient should be tried with awake proning, or basically voluntary proning in patients wherein they full the criteria. The criteria is basically the patient should be using less than 4 liters of oxygen, and he should have a normal health and the mental status, and he is able to do the self positioning himself. And when to avoid the awake proning, avoid awake proning, so it should be the patient should be hemodynamically stable, the ICP should be normal, and there should be a close monitoring in the guidance of a physiotherapist. So the patient should undergo the rotational change in position from prone lying to basically the side lying positions, or the incumbent positions. what happens is the typical protocol is for 30 to 120 minutes in one prone position. We have been seeing a lot of success around 60 to 90 minutes of prone positioning, followed by 30 minutes in the lateral decubitus and the right decubitus position, and then upright sitting. So this is basically, you do the patient prone for around 120 minutes, if not 120 minutes, at least 90 minutes try to do it, and then the lateral position, and then the 90-degree or semi-Fowler's position, followed by a right position, and then again proning. So this should be followed every time you are doing a awake proning position. So prone position 120 minutes, then you go to a right position, then sitting up, then left position, and then you go to prone again. This is basically assisted by the therapist. So I'll just play a small video to show you how it is done. So you can see the patient. So he is put on a semi-Fowler's position now, and then the right lateral position, and then prone positioning. The prone positioning is simple, that you have to put the patient on prone, and this helps a lot in the oxygenation. When you do the patient proning for many times, you will be able to help increase in the saturation that we see in the pulse oximeter. The therapist must be helping in this. So now prone positioning in the ICU. So one of the more important part of prone positioning in the ICU is also the prone ventilation. So prone ventilation have basically shown a lot of benefit in patients who are ventilated and unable to maintain the saturation even in with the help of oxygen. So it helps a lot. So only things to be kept in mind is the different pressure points that are to be seen while doing the patient prone. So requirements is basically, you have to, the main requirements for prone positioning in COVID ARDS is basically, you have to pre-oxygenate the patient with 100% oxygen. Please make ensure that endotracheal tube and the arterial and the central venous lines are in place, and then there should be adequate number of staff that will show in the video to turn the patient, and then contraindications, that the patient shouldn't have a spinal substability. Any patient who is having any spinal issues or spinal instability should not be used. Intracranial pressure, if the patient is having high intracranial pressure, it should not be used. And if the patient may require any kind of CPR or defibrillation, he should not be done the prone ventilation. So when should we do the prone ventilation? When the FiO2 is basically more than 60%, the PEEP is more than 5, there should be an indication for doing the patient prone. So prone positioning, the therapist plays a major role in the respiratory therapist plays a major role in this. So I will just show you the video. So you can see while doing the prone positioning, the therapist plays a major role. I will just come to the proning position. So the head end position should be always taken by the therapist. You can see that this is the respiratory physiotherapist who will be taking the head positioning while turning the patient.
And make sure that A lines and all other lines are ready to be disconnected.
So one to be taken care is, first thing is, all the lines and the tracheostomy tube are to be basically seen. Everything is in control. So what we do is basically,
take your first bed sheet
You have to take the bed sheets, so there should be at least 3 bed
Place
sheets.
it.
Please see the video that how to place the bed sheets while turning the patient. Very important steps.
Now, the people on the right hand side will turn the patient towards himself at a 45-degree angle.
So first the patient is to be turned into a 45-degree
On the
angle
left-hand side,
that should
we
be
turn the
take.
patient 45 degrees towards himself, and the people on the other side will put the sheet in. Okay?
So first the patient has to be turned so that the sheet could be put in. So you can see how the sheet
Now
is
the
quickly
patient will be turned
rounded.
in a supine
So
position,
patient is again taken into supine position,
and
then
the patient
into
will be
the
semi-prone towards the other side.
to the other side, again on the semi-prone position,
sheet will
so that the
sweep
sheet
under
can
the
be
patient
rolled and
and spread
open
across.
up.
Ensure that your IV
This
lines,
is the first.
dialysis lines are secured during the entire procedure.
This is the first basically step of putting the bed sheet.
Now, we take our second bed sheet.
So this is the second bed sheet. Remember, we have to put in 3 bed sheets for rolling the patient, and we should have the adequate staff. And the physiotherapist should be on the head end to secure the airway.
Ensuring that there are no wrinkles and the bed sheet is flat. Now we take our 6 pillows, placing 2 pillows on the chest, 2 pillows on the hip, and 2 pillows
We
on the
put
shin.
that basically pillows, and these pillows are very important because this pillows will be saving the patient from the pressure source or will allow the patient to ventilate
Now
properly
our team will
when
take
he
the
is
third bed sheet
on basically
and
prone
place it across
position.
the patient.
So now is the third bed sheet that has been put on, and this will be important thing to catch hold of all the 3 and rotate the patient when we do so.
In the opposite direction as the other sheet.
So you can see that the patient is secure
It
now,
is at the same distance prior to
and all the bed sheets have been tucked
From
in.
here on then, the respiratory therapist will keep count on when to prone by doing 1, 2, and 3. On the count of 3. 1,
So on the count of 3,
now
the
we
patient
remove
will
the
be turned
patient
on.
away from the ventilator, sliding him towards the edge of the bed on the count of the respiratory therapist.
So the first turn is away from the ventilator.
Count of 3. 1, 2,
The
3.
therapist will count 3. The patient will be taken away from
Now
the
again on the
ventilator
count of the
to
respiratory
the edge
therapist,
of the bed.
the people on the side of the ventilator will push in, while the people on the other side will pull up, taking the patient into a semi-prone position on the count
The
of
patient
3
will
of
be
the
taken into a
respiratory
semi-prone position.
therapist. 1, 2, 3.
So this is
This
very
position
important
will be
step.
held.
So taking the patient on the semi-prone position and making him stable.
The respiratory therapist will ensure that the ET tube is secured.
So now the role of the respiratory physiotherapist is to make sure the ET tube, which is connected to the ventilator, is secure and it doesn't move away. Otherwise, it will be a big complication.
The patient is being prone towards will push in,
And then
while the team that is proning will push towards them. 1,
you do a quick turn into prone. So this is how the patient is moved prone. So needs practice to do it before doing it into the live intubated ventilated patient. But with good number of practice, this can be done.
is fully prone.
So you can see then there is adjustments, and ultimately the sheets are to be taken out
For the map,
and the patient is to be ventilated. So this is how prone ventilation is done, and this is basically one of the most important parts for the therapist to do in treating the COVID patient in the ICU. So now coming to So now one of the most important thing is basically so we have spoken about awake proning, that is very very important. Then we have also spoken about prone ventilation, that is a lifesaver. So prone ventilation have saved a lot of lives in COVID around the world, and it is to be done. Now we come to normal chest physiotherapy techniques. Normal chest physiotherapy techniques are to be done in the ICU or are need not to be done in the ICU, since basically all the airway clearance techniques produces a lot of droplet dispersion, so basically it is a aerosol developing technique. So this all your chest physiotherapy should be done in very looking at the benefits, because there is a lot of chances of spreading the infection and the therapist getting infected too. So what you should do is basically you should do the normal chest clearance techniques only and only if it is indicated, otherwise it is not required. Then endotracheal suction, open suction in COVID is basically contraindicated if the patient is ventilated. If you do an open suction, there is already loss of PEEP or the alveolus are already collapsing, so they will basically face a lot of problem in maintaining the PEEP and they can collapse. So open suction is contraindicated. You should be always doing the suction with a closed suction tube. So this is how a closed suction tube looks like. It is fixed to a tracheostomy tube by a tube, and it is changed every 2 or 3 days. So this should be used for suctioning, and not the normal open suctioning should be done for the COVID patient. So all your airway clearance techniques, coughing, huffing, your postural drainage with coughing, huffing, your all your the PEP therapy devices like the flutter device, the acapella device, this all, and also your intermittent positive ventilation, the insufflator, exsufflator, cough assist, the vest device, this all produces some or other kinds of aerosol. Very very careful in using this. Also using, if you are doing saline stimulation or manual hyperinflation, this is contraindicated in COVID. Please don't do that. Inspiratory muscle training only after the patient has moved out of the ventilator and stable, not during ventilation. So be careful in during, to take a regular precaution while doing the regular, avoid regular use of chest physiotherapy clinic. So sorry, one of the most important part after prone ventilation and your when the patient is stable is basically moving the patient out of the bed or mobilizing the patient. So that is very very important in COVID patients in the ICU. So what you should be doing is basically using different types of scale to see how the position of the patient. We generally use the Richard Armond sedation scale, the RAS scale, and if the RAS scale is more than 3, so if the RAS scale is less than 2, what we do is the patient now is basically semi-conscious or unconscious. What we do is we start with passive exercises or passive limb physiotherapy. That has to be done 5 times per joint, at least 1 set, and frequency should be at least once daily. And then stretching of all the joints, then passive cycling if possible, and then electrical stimulation with a biphasic current. So you can keep a duration of 60 seconds for the stimulation with an intensity of 45 hertz, and the frequency can be adjusted. It can be done daily once or twice, and then also in some cases splinting and CPM can be done. So your passive movements, the stretching play a major role, plus your electrical stimulation, and also the passive cycle if you have a passive cycle available. Only thing is, if you are going to a COVID patient with a COVID ICU, you should be thoroughly sterilizing all the equipment after all these things. For electrical stimulation, try to use disposable electrodes while using in patients, so that you don't have to clean the or disinfect the electrodes. If the RAS scale is above 2, so what we do is we start on with active assisted and then active exercises. The intensity should be around Borg 11 to 13 scale. Sorry for the disturbance. So duration should be at least 8 to 10 repetitions, at least 3 sets per day, and slowly increase the repetition to 10, slowly increase the repetition from 1 set to 3 set, and slowly increase the frequency for maybe once daily physiotherapy to twice daily physiotherapy or thrice daily physiotherapy. Then activities of daily living should be started. Balance exercises, firstly starting from sit to stand, and firstly actually sitting on the bed, then sit to stand should be done, and then slowly walking around the bed when the patient is basically extubated or moved out of the ventilator. So this is basically the box scale that you can see. So this is what is to be done in the ICU. My big salute to all the corona warriors who are basically fighting a role there, and I'd like to thank Haryana Chartered Association of Physiotherapy and Dr. Mudgil for organizing this live Harcon 2020. I think this is the third Harcon, and Harcon has been always a special place in our lives. So this time, because of the present normal situation, or what we call the present normal, we are going in with the help of digital media. Sorry for all the glitches that we faced during the start of the lecture, because sometimes we become technical challenge. So I'd like to thank again everyone for attending. The crux of ICU physiotherapy or ICU respiratory physiotherapy is basically you should be protecting yourself first. That is very important, with all the necessary PPE kits, masks, whatever is necessary for you. And the second thing is basically you should be treating the normal chest physiotherapy is required only when it is an emergency, because in type 1 failure, oxygen therapy, prone positioning, these are more important, and then mobilization will play a very important role in all your COVID patients. So keep safe everyone, and thank you from my side. Thank you very much, and sorry for all the technical glitches. Thank you.